I don't know. Is that one too shiny? Maybe. Hello, hello, hello. I'm still trying to figure my rings out here. I think I'm going to do this one. Because that's the most important thing, right? You got to have the right rings. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy Halloween. Or whatever it is you choose to call it. Welcome in, welcome in. I have been saving my voice all day, everyone, just for this. So this is the first time I'm getting to really talk today. Yay! Oh my goodness, it's that time again. Here we go. And it's time. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. I'm gonna have to make sure I bump this up so it's high enough that everyone can make their comments down here. So, well, welcome in. Oh, yes, just Tracy. Yes, this will be my third one. I should probably put a playlist together now that I have 3, which reminds me I have another. Well, anyway, I should. Really? Oh, my goodness. Well, welcome in. I do try every Halloween to, kind of go through the lore and transcripts and court protocols that were part of the Salem witch trials, because I find it fascinating because, we were idiots. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Was it Tammy? Tammy. Oh, happy Halloween. I love it. It's so nice to be back on lives, everyone. So anyway, I thought it was fascinating when I went through and read some of the transcripts, some of the depositions, how they ruled on evidence. So like spectral evidence, which was evidence only in the minds of the person saying that it was there, because I think it's an excellent way to learn, right? 2 years. Happy Halloween. Yes, 2 years. This is my third one. Yes, I know. I can't believe it. No worries, Kimber. They will be up on the Tube of You over there. So, yes, the candy corn. Now, I know I've got a few followers in here that aren't big fans of the candy corn. So, I didn't wear the candy corn all month. I was waiting. I was like, okay, it's Halloween. We're getting the candy corn nails out because I think you just have to. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's hop into it, everyone. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate your gifts. Frank, oh man, it looked like a spiced latte. I had one of those today, everybody. I had a pumpkin spiced latte from the Bucks. And I don't know, it just didn't taste quite right. I think my taste is weird right now. Love the nails. Oh, thanks. Really? Oh, nice. I guess I prefer a little bit more cinnamon. I'm a little bit spicier. Need some spice in my world. All right, let me get a wand. We've got a lot of wands to choose from. So let me get our options out here. So here are my wand pens that I was able to find and purchase from a person on Etsy. So amazing. Oh yes, Mexican hot chocolate as well. Oh, I know. Oh, I love it. So here's kind of my little collection. This is a little cat. This is my blue one when I'm feeling blue. This is my big one because this one's really thick. I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't tell when I hold it up. Ooh, maybe I'll put it next to a skinny one. Here we go. So here's a skinny one. See how one is thicker than the other? Yeah. So this is like my big one, my big pen. And then of course I've got black here with a butterfly, and then I've got green. And I think somebody said green already, and I'm thinking green might be. Now hold on, everybody. This is a family show here. This is a family show. So, yes, and I mean, right? It's a family show. Okay, let's do the green. I got suggestions for the green. Let's do that. So we have that, and then I always have to have a black up one, a back up one, not black. And then I have these 2 little demons, alleged demons. All right, that's not been proven yet in a court of law. But some people You didn't say it, Thomas. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, I love these. I know, I love these, but I do have a Gen Zer in my world, and they just like make the sign of the cross and leave the room. Like, come on. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. And those, of course, were also on the Etsy. So if you want to look those up. I know. Okay, I was trying though. I was like, whoosh, let's go around. Let's go through the back and not talk about. Never mind. That didn't come out right either. Oh my gosh. I'm not starting off well here. Oh my goodness, everybody. All right. Okay. Here we go. Let me get my, oh, SCOTUS heads. Yeah, I do have the SCOTUS puppets. They're going to be coming out. Now, for those of you, excuse me, I'm sure a lot of you have been following Brino DC. We did a live together, a couple of lives together actually. That's the dude that you want to make sure you follow, along with Embellicose or Skelicose YouTube, when it comes to the SCOTUS cases, because like Brino's got this huge chart he's working off of, and it's multicolored, and I appreciate that so much. And then Skelicose just has this innate ability to process it and put it back out into the world in a way that the rest of us can understand. So, oh, thanks, Go Live Vegas. Thanks. I tell you what, though, the gifts, everybody, I'm eternally thankful. But the gifts that were set out on the last live helped me get one of my ink cartridges. My color printer was like, I'm dying. And so I was so thankful when I went and got it. So I truly, truly appreciate all of the gifts and hugs and and support. I'm very, very thankful. All right, well, let's get into it. Now, the first thing for the Salem trials here, and everything should be labeled, but if I do need a sticky note, don't be, don't hesitate. Just put sticky, please, and we'll do that. So here we go. Here's a map of Salem Village. And then we have probably the other big place nearby is Andover, right? And then this is the city of Salem. So there were huge disputes going on between the city of Salem and Salem Village. So it's kind of hard to tell because this is a close-up here. But if you look, this is Salem Village. We've got the North Fields over here and Beverly here. Again, this is historic at the time, 1692. So this is what it looked like. We had a town up here, Andover, and then down here, where you can see there is the North Fields and North River. This is where the town of Salem is. So just to kind of keep that in mind, because ultimately what we're dealing with here are some land disputes. All right, there were a lot of lawsuits that were going, and of course, the country was under the rule of the crown at the time. So there was a lot of tension and things like that going on. You know, when land and money are involved, things can get, hinky. So again, Salem Village here, and then Salem, the town of Salem is down here. All right, and then we've got the city of Salem. If you're looking for a better kind of picture on this, I will give out my citations, of course. I certainly couldn't do any of this by myself, but I was able to find the materials online, very easily accessible for those who are interested. So we've got the city of Salem here, and of course it's in Massachusetts. And then we have a new map here, again, just kind of giving another view of what it looked like. This map was done in 1915 here. Right. Oh dear. I'll have to keep my eye on the comments. All right, so we've got 1950, and you can see Salem Harbor, which was a really big, bustling area, and a lot of the money that was coming in from the harbor. So there was kind of this big question about who owned what, when, and where. Which, sounds familiar, right? Some of our most important lawsuits or constitutional rulings have come out of challenges for land, right? So here's kind of a close-up look inside of Salem here, where they're just kind of writing out very easily where they believe the execution took place. So we, again, they've been still searching. It's only been a couple of years, and they discovered a new place that they think the burials are, right? So where they were buried. I can't say it correctly, everybody. I apologize. Buried. You know what I'm saying, right? Because what happened here, hold on, let me make sure I get the right number here. We had 19 people who were hanged, and then we had one person who had been tortured to unalive, which actually was illegal because they were supposed to not unalive him during his torture, because he was supposed to be able to come back and answer the question if he was guilty or not guilty. But he passed, and people were really having a hard time with that. And I don't blame him, because he was pressed, right? So just real quick, he had like a board on top of him. He was laying on the ground, and then they were adding stones and adding more and more weight so that he would slowly, be tortured. But eventually it just, he unalived. They weren't happy about that. And then, and I think a lot of people forget about this too, and this for me always drives me bonkers here. Let me make sure I get the right number. Go. So where did I put that? Well, anyway, the point is we had those who were unalived. Oh, thanks. And then we had, okay, I'm sorry. All right, 81 people were accused and 49 were put into jail. And while in jail, about half of them passed away from the conditions in the jail, and the other half were executed. All right, so that's kind of the numbers that we're looking at. So rather than say that this was all because they were hanged after being found to be witches, it wasn't just that. It was the conditions in the jails as well. So I think that's so important to remember when we are working through anything, is to remember how people were treated in those situations. All right, so this is where they believe the site of the execution was. And of course, they were hanged, except for one fella who was pressed. And it's like 20 people who died or unalived just in jail. One of those included a 4-year-old girl. So here's another look here at another map that have been put together. Again, this is just very beautiful. You can actually buy this on Etsy if you're interested. I'm just using it for educational purposes, but I may purchase this and print it out, the big one. But again, just another view here. I mean, we're talking about a lot of people here. These again, here's our list of the people who were unalived as they were accused of being witches. All right, now on that happy note, it's not happy. None of this is happy, everybody. All right, that's just a lie. I was gonna say it's happy. Fibbing. All right, so tonight, what I want to do, oh my gosh, and I'm so excited, is I'm going to take you through some of the transcripts, everybody. We have warrants that were issued for certain people. We have executions that were ordered. We have juries that were called in. They weren't feeling very good about that. We had multiple ministers, kind of good and bad ministers at play here. We had a governor who had to go all the way to England to get permission to conduct the trials. And then we had this terrible, justice situation going on, which is really the moral of the story, right? So we just need get to there. And hold on, everybody. I got people popping up here. I'm not co-living with anyone, so please stop requesting. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah, please stop requesting. Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. So the first thing we've got here is our list. Really, candy corn, love it. Yeah, candy corn nails. Only once. Yes, a lot of people thought they were burned. That's more European. If you were a witch in, well, there's really nothing as stupid as the Salem witch trials that I can compare it to in Europe. But I guess France. We'll go to France. That was one of the techniques they used in France. So also in like what we know as Canada now, there were burnings as well. But nope, they hanged them, which is terrible, right? Stop requesting, Lastra. Stop requesting because it's not happening. Oh my goodness. So these are actual documents that have been found. And when the historical museums, and there's a lot of them out there, everybody, there are just a lot. This one comes from right here. I'm going to try to see if you can see it. I'm looking at another one. Here we go. Oop, let's back down a little bit. See if we can go down a little bit. This is out of Virginia. There you go. This is where, can I turn off the request, Kristen? I wish I could. I do turn everything off when I come in, and then I don't know. I don't know why they do it. Yes, accurate historical references in Monty Python. All right, so this this is where a lot of the pictures come from here. But of course, we can't read the writing, so I do have a printed out version here. So let's start with our list. We have a list here of the people that they are being told are witches. Now, very Puritan world that they were living in at the time, right? And one of the reasons why they had left the mother country of the UK was because they weren't strict enough in their religion, right? So now people, at this time, people were like, we got to be really strict. So when this idea that there was some witchery about, they took it very seriously and were incredibly worried because they truly believed that the witches, as described as like the demons in the Bible, actually did walk amongst people. All right. I'm not going to say there are no witches now. I'm just going to say the amount of power and the horrible things they would do are those things described in the Bible. All right. So just to kind of clarify that. So first we have a list of 11 accused persons and their accusers. So on this side, we've got who was being accused here. And then over here, we have the people that were the witnesses. You needed 2 witnesses to solidify a finding of, I don't even want to say it's a finding, but solidify your execution. And that was all that was needed. Oh yeah, witch talk is a real thing, and I highly recommend it. You can find some really cool stuff, actually. I have one person in particular who she makes soap, and I came across her on the witch talk, which I just accidentally came into. When you do a live like this, then it starts to come out. And I tell you what, that's like the best thing I've ever done in my life. I was like, woohoo, the soap is amazing. But anyway, I digress. Let's go through our list here. So 11 accused persons and their accusers. So I'm going to read out here, and then you all can just kind of follow along here. Yeah, witch too? Really? Okay. Now, as a side note, 75% of the people who were accused and then executed were women. There are 25% that are men. There's even a minister who had started by saying, we got to, throw the rope at him. I don't know how you would say that, but in the beginning was like, it's all evil. And then a few months into it, he's like, oh my gosh, I was so wrong. The spectral evidence, that's bologna sandwiches. So then boom, he got put into jail and sent to be hanged. And the big thing for him was he did a perfect rendition of the Lord's Prayer, which one of the myths was that no witch could recite the Lord's Prayer without exploding. So you would self-combust if you did the Lord's Prayer. And he just stood there and said the Lord's Prayer. And he's like, nothing's happening to me. And they're like, all right, here's the news. And then out he was. A couple weeks later, of course, I know there are some people who don't like the candy corn. I saved it till the last day of October. But his wife was accused a few weeks later, and then she was also hanged. Here we go. We've got first up here, complaint of several, May 28th of 1692. So I'll just go line by line here. We've got a Goody Carrier of Andover and Mary Walcott, Goody Fosdick of Malden, Goody Payne, Mary Walcott. I'm going to say these words incorrectly, but that's kind of my thing that I do here. And Mercy Lewis, Abigail William, and Ann Putnam. Now, the Putnams were part of the big land discussion. So if you were to say there were like two parties fighting each other over land and laws, there was the Putnams, and then there were the other group. That name escapes me at the moment. All right, so we got that, and then Ed Marshalls and his wife, and Goody Howe, Mary Walcott, Abigail Williams, right, Captain Alden, that's down here, all right. Captain Alden complained of a long time ago, so this was like way long before they started doing it, and they're like, well, let's just do it. And then here we have William Proctor, Tooth Acres, and then this is Captain Flood here. All right, so just again, to give you some idea, they're like, all right, let's write them down. I think they're witches, and I think we're going to have to unalive them. And then let's call in all of these witnesses, which is the 4-year-old that I was talking about earlier was in the jail, so she could testify against her mother and say that her mother was a witch. And then as a 4-year-old, they asked if she was, and she said yes, like my mother. And then she was also, it was determined that she was a witch. All right, so we've got our list here of our peoples. And so let's kind of start forward here. Now, there are witch trials all over the place, as everybody knows. But the Salem witch trials, I think, are the most horrific. And there's a story that goes along with it. And it starts with Miss Tituba. I'm saying her name wrong, but Tituba. Now, this is just over dramatization, right? But Tituba was a enslaved person. We don't know exactly if she was, some people think she was Caribbean. Some people think there was an African descent going on. Keep in mind that the slave trade truly started in this country in 1619. So we're only a few decades down the road of when slavery had started. So there's that. And there are other reports saying, Tatui. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay, let me write that down so I don't forget it. Tatui. And then others think that it's possible that she was one of the indigenous women. So we just don't know. But she, right, so these girls here, it was a girl and her cousin, and they started having like weird things, like they were saying weird stuff and convulsing and flopping around everywhere. And they're like, what's happening? And the parents, I don't know if the parents really cared, but whatever. And the little girls were like, okay, our nanny person was telling us all these stories. And she was talking to Satan, and like they did some stuff, right? Thank you. Go live. So anyway, they blamed it on her, of course, right? Of course they did. So there were some questions going around. And this story, in my opinion, is a very similar story to today. We have someone who is enslaved, who's being called out by an entire village of Puritans, right? And they're saying, you hurt these girls. So she was like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm not a witch. I don't do any of that stuff. And they put her in jail. Now, she plays a significant role later on, but this was the whole start. And then we have these two girls over here who were like, screaming and stuff. Now, there came to be a whole bunch of people. As you can see here, all of these are the witnesses here that they are saying, right? They're saying, I know that this person is a witch. So, oh yes, thank you. Thanks everybody. So we have lots of people, but keep her in mind because I'm going to keep bringing her back again. This is just artist's idea of what he thought that would be here. All right. Here we go. We have the first thing I wanted to go to, though, before we get too far, is we need to look at the law. So I've got that out here. Let me grab that one. Oh, here we go. So it's a bill against conjurations. So here's the evidentiary rule that they're using here in this situation. And we still have it. I mean, I think it's really great that we have the evidence of this. I think that's very important. I gotta make sure I got front and back here. All right, so here's the front, and then here's the back. And this is the bill. And I'll just read it so that you can figure out if this is Crazy Town, which, yes, spoiler, it's Crazy Town, or not. All right, here we go. A bill against conjuration. All right, and you'll be able to pull some of these words out, like the very next word, witchcraft, and dealing with evil and wicked spirits. All right, then I'm diving in. So for more particular direction in the execution of the law against witchcraft. And this part that's crossed out, they were able to decipher it. So it says, this crossed out piece, for explanation of the law against witchcraft and more particular directions therein, the execution thereof, and for the better restraining the said offenses and more severe punishing the same. But that was crossed out, all right? So here's our next piece here. And just again to kind of help everybody see where we're at, right here is where I'm starting, okay? So, be it enacted by the governor's council and representatives in general court assembled, and by the authority of the same, that if any person or persons shall use, practice, or exercise any invocation or conjuration of any evil and wicked spirit, or shall consult, covenant with, entertain, employ, feed, or reward any evil and wicked spirit to or for any intent or purpose, or take upon any unalive man, woman, or child out of her grave. So this part is when they're talking about the grave robbers, all right? Or any other place where the unalive body resteth, or the skin, bone, or any other part of any unalive person, to be employed or used in any manner of witchcraft, sorcery, charm, or enchantment, or shall use, practice, or exercise any witchcraft, enchantment, charm, or sorcery, whereby any person shall be unalived, destroyed, wasted, consumed, pined, or lamed in his or her body or any part thereof, which of course is what the village did, right? To the witches. They did all of this to the accused witches, but the witches aren't supposed to do it, right? So that's then every such offender or offenders, their aiders, abettors, and counselors being of any the said offenses duly and lawfully, we're still here, duly and lawfully convicted and attained shall suffer pains of unalive as a felon or felons. So and you can see here as a felon or felon. So next paragraph, next one coming up. So we have a shire town here. And further to the intent that all manner of practice use or exercise of witchcraft, enchantment, charm, or sorcery should be henceforth utterly avoided, abolished, and taken away, be it enacted by the authority aforesaid, that if any person or person shall take upon him or them by witchcraft in offending and being thereof lawfully convicted, shall for the said offense suffer imprisonment by the space of 1 whole year without bail or main prize, and once in every quarter of the shared year shall in sum stand I'm sorry, let me move down here. I lost it. Where'd it go? Stand openly under the pillory by the space of 6 hours, and they shall openly confess. Now, let me move down to flip over here to the next page. Thank you. Whew. All right. Here. Which said offense shall be written in capital letters and placed upon the breast of said offender. So, that's interesting. I always find new stuff in here, everybody, every time I read it. And if any person or persons being once convicted of the same offense and shall again commit the like offense, and being of any of the said offenses the second time lawfully and duly convicted and attainted as is aforesaid, shall suffer pains of unalive as felon or felons. And then this last piece here just said, read several times in council, voted, ordered to be engrossed and pass into an act, and then a couple of Latin words. We don't need those. We don't need the Latin here. All right, so that's the rule. That's the law here that they're using to charge all of the people with. So if you get charged, it's going to be under this particular bill. All right, so now we can go dive in here to some of the people who were accused. I want to make sure I get my stacks done here. Okay. All right, we can start with Alice. Should we start with Alice? Let's make sure. No. Oh, let's start with Martha. All right, here we go. We're moving Alice. And just as an FYI, as we go through here, they do have all of the records actually on file that they had there in Massachusetts. So just to give you some idea, all of this was recorded. And again, that's unusual because almost everything was destroyed by the peoples years and years after this happened, because they were like, oh my gosh, this is so awful. And they had just thrown the unalive bodies into basically like what I want to say crevasse, but that's not right. They threw them over into something and then threw the dirt on top of the bodies. All right, there weren't any nice set out of that. They were just tossed down there. Ooh, really beautiful. Love it. Love it. But anyway, that again is just showing that they knew that what they were doing was wrong. They knew it. Ravine. Thank you, Thomas. Yes, that sounds better. Just toss the bodies there, and that's why it's been so hard for them to locate it, but they're still working on it. Let me just give you a couple paragraphs here so you know what we're talking about in the time frame here, and then we'll jump into Martha Carrier's case. All right, on the cover of the first volume of records is written the form of oath for commissioners and for constables, together with memoranda showing when various constables took the oath. Quote, the form of an oath for commissioners. You do here, you do here take God to witness and do swear by his name that in all causes or controversies that shall come before you, you will in God's fair use yo best skills and ability diligently to search out and right lie to judge without partiality. I don't know that word. Fatiliatati? What is this word? All right, hold on. Okay, petiality. All right, whatever, between cause and cause. And Petai, that's better. Use the Petai. Petai. And Petai, according to the testimony and evidence that is brought before you, so help yo God. Yo, yo, yo. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. All right. So I'm just giving you a little flavor here of a little bit of an idea of what they were doing. All right. So let's dive in. And again, everybody, I have an actual print out here, and this is another amazing resource here. This is the salemlibvirginia.edu that I had shown you on that other page. Hello, welcome. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So let me pull this out, and then we can start looking at what the different pieces are here. All right, first piece. So let me make sure everyone can see everything here. All right. Yeah, write and read Old English. I'll smack it around, but I'm not gonna get it correct. All right, here we go. And it's titled Salem, May the 28th of 1692. All right, it's our very first piece for tonight, and this is the complaint. So we have witnesses complaining that someone has participated in witchcraft. So Joseph Halton, I'll just point here, and John Walcott, both of Salem Village, yeomen, made complaints in behalf of their majesties against Carrier of Andover, the wife of Thomas Carrier. So they're accusing Mrs. Carrier of said town husbandman Fosdick of Malden or Charleston, Reed of Marblehead, the wife of Samuel Reed of said place, Rice of Reading, the wife of Nicholas Rice. So now we're at 3 women here of said town. How the wife of James Howe of Topsfield, Captain John Alden of Boston Mariner, William Proctor of Salem Farms. You see, there's so many people coming out as witnesses too. Captain John Flood of Rowley Marsh on Boston, Mary Toothaker, the wife of Roger Toothaker of Bellrica, and Toothaker, the daughter of said Roger Toothaker, abbot that lives between Ips, Topfield, and Wenham for sundry acts. Ooh, sundry acts, everybody. Sundry acts of witchcraft. Let's see. And every one of them committed on the bodies of Mary Walcott, Abigail Williams, Marcy Lewis, Ann Putnam, and others. So those are 3 of the girls, of the little girls, and others belonging to Salem Village or farms, lately to the hurt and injury of their bodies, therefore craves justice. All right, so your complaint, this is what they send out in order to get an indictment, right? And so they're saying these witnesses saw these girls go bonkers and they're afraid, and so they're accusing them of the witchcrafting here. So that's the complaint. Yeah, so that's all they have to do is they have to say, like, well, I saw him do that. And apparently that's, I wouldn't say that's probable cause, but, you know, whatever. Whatever. So that's here. And then next up, oh yeah, lots of little girls. And that's another thing too to remember is that, you know, these girls in this situation were like, you know, tweens. They were 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, and living in an extremely Puritan place. So, you know, some people's theories were they just went bonkers because their minds just broke. Others say that there was some kind of rotten flour in the rye bread, although that one has been dismissed as not true. So there's lots of stuff going on here. But with the little girls, oh, thanks, Ellie, appreciate that. But, you know, yeah, they're just little girls. And what happened later on was this whole entire backlash against women. All right. There's a whole story that comes out regarding the period of time between this and anything else going forward to suppress women's rights. That's how it is. And this is touted for one of the first reasons why women witnesses were not believed. Is that true or not? Don't know, but that is a legal theory out there by some of the peoples. Here we go. Yeah, hysteria, exactly. Exactly. They weren't allowed to play. Right. Oh, I know. Laugh, Brad. True, I know. I saved them until the last day of October. Oh, all right, here we go. Here's a warrant now. We've set out a warrant for Miss Martha Carrier, May 28th of 1692. So this is what their warrant looked like. And let me give you some information. To the Marshal of Essex or his department, or to the constables, here, you can even see here what I'm saying, constables of Andover, you are in their majesty's names hereby required to apprehend and forthwith secure and bring before us Martha Carrier, the wife of Thomas Currier of Andover, on Tuesday next, beginning the 31st day of this instant month of May, about 10 o'clock in the forenoon, or as soon as may be afterwards, at the house of Lieutenant Nathaniel Ingersolls in Salem village, who stands charged with having committed sundry acts of witchcraft on the bodies of Mary Walcott and Abigail Williams of Salem village, to their great hurt and injury, in order to her examination relating to the premises above said fail not. All right, so you can again here see where I'm at. And this was dated the 28th of 1692. And then on the other piece, I probably didn't print it out because it wasn't very interesting. And then on the back of that, let me see, did I print it? I don't know. Maybe not. Whew. Oh, good. I did. Look at that. Look, we can all read this one. So the person delivering it said, I have, that's a V. I have apprehended the Whitten named person and brought her to the place appointed. So he took her to jail. He caught her and took her to jail. Oh my goodness. All right, there you go. That's what the warrant looks like, in case you're wondering. Here. Next up in this case, again, to have all of these legal documents available for anybody is, amazing, in my humble opinion. All right, so this is really where we start getting into more of this ideology of, whatever evidence you present is how the case goes forward, right? So we think about this for a minute. And we have the rules of evidence that we use in the federal system and in the state system. The rules of evidence. That means there is a set of rules that every single court has to use in order to allow evidence in. Now, the hearsay rule, I'm sure everyone's heard of, but it doesn't actually work the way you probably think it does, and has like 24, 27 exceptions to it. But that's in there. But not just that. How about competency to testify? Right? How about any kind of relevance? If you're not relevant to the case, no. How do you authenticate documents? Like, how do we know that this is the tape of you saying grab them by the whatevers? We got to have some kind of authenticity with that. Also, how judges are. Should they testify in a case that they're ruling on? No. What about the jury? What do we do if we have jury problems? So all these rules are so important. These procedural rules, and I've talked about this before. These procedural rules are the weakest link of this administration. All right, they're trying to find all these loopholes in the law and such. But even with that, if they pull that back, these procedures that they are not following is what's going to get them kicked in the end, in my humble opinion. So what happens when we don't have proper rules of evidence? This is what happens. All right, we start seeing ghosts. Right. Play the Hogwarts game. All right, so this is an examination of Martha Carrier. So we have here what she's saying, and then the different questions. There were no lawyers You were standing there yourself if you were accused. This woman, Miss Carrier, was standing there in a room full of people ready to, unalive her. Let me give you a picture. And she's trying to figure out, what should I say? All right, something like this, kind of, picturing it. We got some ministers up here. Oh, sorry, judges up here. We've got people saying this girl down here is having some kind of fits. And so now this person, let's just call her Miss Carrier, is up here trying to defend herself. Meanwhile, one of the things that the girls did was anytime any of the people who were accused, the accusers had raised an arm, if anyone did this, these girls, they had agreed basically to throw themselves on the floor and to start having fits, because that made it look like the one who was accused was controlling their behavior. So that was very obvious. People knew that, but they used that as evidence. They're like, you're standing here right now with your hand up and she's having a fit. I mean, how can we judge the credibility of that, right? All right, so that's that. So we mustn't forget that these poor people, these poor accused people, did not have any attorneys. All right, here we go. So let's read into it. We've got, again, this is the examination of Martha Carrier, who was executed. Hello, so unique. Hello. Again, I'm just trying to make sure here I'm lined up. All right, so I will leave you to read this. It is pretty well written, so you can see the letters. So Abigail Williams, what hurts you? Goody Carrier of Andover. Eliza Hubbard, who hurts you? Goody Carrier. Susan Sheldon, who hurts you? Goody Carrier. She bites me, pinches me, and tells me she would cut my throat if I did not sign her book. Now let's pause for a minute and bring back Tatua. Tatua, as we talked before, had said, I don't know anything about any of this witchcraft. But then, for some reason, and I think it's because she knew if she kept doing what she was doing, she was going to be unalived, she changed her story. And she said, actually, yes, so the devil took over here and told me all these things to do to these children and to harm them through witchcraft. And he has a book. The devil gave her a book that she needed people to sign to show that they were now part of the devil's crew. All right? So that's the book we're talking about. And again, she's changed her story. And then ultimately, she did not unalive. She was spared because she knew how this game was being played here. All right, so back into it. Mary Walcott. We're talking about the book again. Mary Walcott said she afflicted her and brought the book to her. What do you say to this you are charged with? I have not done it. Sheldon cried, she looks upon the black man. Ann Putnam complained of a pin stuck in her. What black man is that? I know none. Ann Putnam testifying there was. Mary Warren cried out she was pricked. What black man did you see? I saw no black man but your own presence. Can you look upon these and not knock them down? They will disassemble if I look upon them. You see, you look upon them and they fall down. It is false. The devil is a liar. I look upon none since I came into the room, but you, Susan Sheldon, cried out in a trance. I wonder, what could you murder? 13 persons? Mary Wilcott testifying the same, that there lay 13 ghosts. All the afflicted fell into most intolerable outcries and agony. Eliza and Anne testified the same, that she had unalived 13 at Andover. It is a shameful thing that you should mind these folks that are out of their wits. Do you not see them? If I do speak, you will not believe me. And she's literally fighting for her life here, right? You do see them, said the accusers. You lie. I am wronged. There is a black man whispering in her ear, said many of the afflicted. Mercy Lewes, in a violent fit, was well beyond the examinants grasping her arm. The tortures of the afflicted was so great that there was no enduring it, so that she was ordered away and to be bound hand and foot with all expedition, the afflicted in the mean, while almost unalive, to the great trouble of all spectators, magistrates, and others. So they're saying here is that the girls, when they were doing this testimony, these girls, as I said, were just kind of throwing themselves around on the floor. And they were using that as evidence. So that was their evidence. These girls falling on the floor in the middle of the trial was the evidence. Yikes. That's upsetting. we don't like to hear that. All right, so as soon as she was well bound, they all had strange and sordid ease. Mary Walcott told the magistrates that this woman told her she had been a witch this 40 years. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so we have that set out in the first piece. Yikes. Just some girls making drama. Well, again, I think, now that we know more about science, even though, I don't know that much about science, but the people that matter know about the science, we can kind of figure out what's going on. I mean, were they having panic attacks? That was one of my first things, is thinking that these girls were just like, kind of giving into that anxiety and panic that we all have way, way before those kinds of things were diagnosed. So maybe they were just, having some really bad anxiety. Hello, Tater. Hello, Hitch. Hello. Hello. I do know some of the people that know the science. That's how I know I don't know it. Oh my gosh. Yes, I don't know it. All right. Next up. We have another piece here for Miss Carrier for afflicting Mary Walcott. So that first indictment that I just read was for, let me make sure I have the right person. All right, so it was just a discussion on, this was her examination is what I had just read you. Now we've got the indictment here. All right. Concoction before the trial. Ooh, it could be blue. It could very well be. I'm not sure. All right, indictment number 1 here for afflicting Mary Walcott. So it starts Anno Regis a Regine Wilm a Marine Nunc Anglais and Quarto. I'm just praying that the lightning doesn't come in and strike me for my terrible Latin, everyone. I should get in bellicose in here. Anytime there's a Latin term, I'm like, what is it? All right, so that's so let me come back in here over here. You see this giant E, that's where I'm starting. So Essex, the jurors. For our sovereign lord and lady, the king and queen, presents that Bridget, witness, Martha Carrier, wife of Richard Thomas Carrier of Andover in the country of Essex, husbandman, the 31st day of May, in the 4th year of the reign of our sovereign, Lord and Lady William and Mary, by the grace of God of England, Scotland, France, and Ireland, king and queen defenders of the faith. This is like most of the indictment is just thanking the king, right? And divers other days and times as well before, as after, certain detestable arts called witchcraft and sorceries, wickedly and feloniously hath used, practiced, and exercised at and within the township of Salem, in the county of Essex, aforesaid, upon and against one Mary Walcott of Salem village, a single woman in the county of Essex, aforesaid, by which said wicked arts, the said Mary Walcott, the 31st day of May, in the 4th year, above said, and divers other days and times, as well before, as after, was and is orchard, afflicted, pined, consumed, wasted, tormented against the peace of our sovereign Lord. That was a lot. That was a lot. That's the complaint. Do we have do we have a probable cause? Right? Where's probable cause? Where are the search warrants? We don't have any of that here. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so that's the complaint number 4. Now we'll move over here to the indictment number 2, which should be this one. And this is of Elizabeth Hubbard. So that's the second girl. All right. I know, Willie B. I know. Yikes. All right, so again, we have that Latin phrase up here that I'm not going to say because that's just offensive, I think. But I'm going to grab my hot cocoa. All right, here we go. Indictment number 2 of Martha Carrier for afflicting Elizabeth Hubbard, July 1st, 1692. Now, in order, by the way, for us to have any of this information was because there was a person sitting in the courtroom writing it all down, right? So here's our court reporter. Started very, very in the olden days, and we're very thankful for that. Anna Regis is what this is up here. Next, Essex, the jurors of our sovereign land and Lord, King and Queen, presents that Martha Carrier, wife of Thomas Carrier of Andover, in the county of Essex, husbandman, the 31st day of May, in the 4th year of the reign of our sovereign Lord and Lady William and Mary, by the grace of God of England, Scotland, France, and Ireland, King and Queen, defenders of the faith. I'm fast forwarding it here a little bit. Again, with all the kings here and queens. Aforesaid, in and upon and against one Elizabeth Hubbard of Salem, in the county of Essex, aforesaid, by which said wicked arts. All right. And the said Elizabeth Hubbard, the 31st day of May, in the 4th year, above said the divers other days, here and times, as well as before as after was, and is tea orchard, afflicted, pined, consumed, wasted, and tormented against the peace of our sovereign Lord and Lady, the King and Queen, and against the form of the statutes in that case made and provided. Woo, and we don't know what the last word is. So there you go. So now we've got another indictment involving Elizabeth. Again, they're saying, they're just coming in and saying there were tea orchard, afflicted, pined, consumed, wasted, and tormented. So that's all that they needed here. Like there's no description of what the girls did outside of the very beginning when they talk about, flopping around and stuff. There's no details here on that. There's no evidence here. There are just these girls telling people who become witnesses, and they come in and they're testifying against these women. Oh, thanks, Jen. Thanks. All right, so we've got 2 indictments here, one for each girl. Next, so let's see. Let's summon some witnesses then. Here we go. Let me bump this up a little bit so you can see the whole thing. There's a seal on here. Right. So here, let's make sure we get this correct. All right. Yep. Here is the summons for witnesses. So officers have returned this. This is a July 30th of 1692. William and Mary, by the grace, you can see that up here, right? William and Mary, by the grace of God, England, Scotland, France, and Ireland. And then here, King and Queen, defenders of faith, and California. I don't know, it says CA, so just assume it's California. All right, here we go. To the constables of Andover greeting, we command you to warn and give notice unto, and here's our witnesses, Alan Toothaker, Ralph Farnham Jr., John Farnham, son of Ralph Farnham Sense, Benjamin Abbott and his wife, Andrew Foster, his wife apparently doesn't have a name, Andrew Foster, Phoebe Chandler, daughter of William Chandler, Sam Holt, Senior, Samuel Preston Jr. So again, this is the list of the names, not up here, they're down here. All right, here we go. We've got all of that set now. Let's move to this number 6, part 2 here. And then you can probably read this pretty easily. It says, in obedience to this writ, I have timely warned the persons whose names are herein written. So the dude that pulled them in. And then just stating the date. So we have the server here. Even then, they had to have a specific server, yeah, for their stuff. At least there's that, I guess. Ugh, yikes. All right. Eeks. So I have just a couple more for her particular case, and then we can kind of go through some of the other very interesting pieces that are not part of her case. I feel terrible, of course, for all of these people. We all should. We should all feel terrible when an injustice is done in the name of justice. So I'll just leave it there. Now we've got another huge chunk of testimony. All right, so this is a testimony of Benjamin Abbott. This was done August 3rd of 1692. And again, he is testifying in order for her to be convicted. So this is his testimony here. And let me just read through it as best as I can. No summoning. Hello, True. How are you? Hello, Sarah. BC. Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite pictures ever. I still laugh when I see it. All right, here we go. The testimony of Benjamin Abbott. You can kind of, again, see aged about 31 years, saith, last March was 12 months, then having some land granted to me by the town of Andover, near to Goodman Carrier's his land. And when this land came to be laid out, Goodwife Carrier was very angry, and said she would stick as close to Benjamin Abbott as the bark stuck to the tree, and that I should repent of it before 7 years came to an end, and that Dr. Prescott could never cure me. These words were heard by Allen Toothaker. She also said to Ralph Farnham Jr. that she would hold my nose so close to the grindstone as ever it was held, since my name was Benjamin Abbott. Presently after, I was taken with swelling in my foot, and then was taken with a pain in my side. Is it excitingly? Tormented, which bred to a sore, which was lanced by the doctor Prescott, and several gallons of corruption did run as out as was judged, and so continued about 6 weeks. I'm pausing, right? So this woman got mad at him, and they're fighting over some piece of land. And then he's got, probably some gout going on in his foot. And then that apparently turned into something that needed to be lanced. And because of all of that, obviously, she's a witch, right? Hold on, puzzle piece, everybody. Yikes. Hold on, did we get it? Oh my gosh, that's 2. Okay, hold on here. We got to go really steady. Steady. Oh, thank goodness I got it. Oh my goodness. All right. So his testimony is almost done here. So he had some swelling in his foot, and then a pain in his side, and then it was taken care of by a doctor. Very bad. And then one other sore did breed in my groin, which was, I don't know what groin is. I don't want to know, which was lanced by Dr. Prescott also. Continued very bad a while, and then On other sore breeden my grind, which was also cut, and put me very great misery, so that it bro me. It bro me, everybody. That it bro me almost to unalive's door, and continued with goodwife carrier, was taken and carried away by the constable. And that very day I begun to grow better. My sores grew well, and I grew better every day, and so have been well ever since, and have great cause to think she'd miscarrier had a great hand in my sickness and misery. Can you even believe this? Right? That's the evidence. His SCD. Oh my gosh. That's right. It lasts forever. It doesn't even have to be on the internet. It's just, you do some crazy BS and it's going to be there forever. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. What a whiny man. Yeah, and this is a testimony that led to her being executed, right? I mean, my goodness gracious. Okay. Get some more cocoa here. Excuse me. All right, here we go. So next, there is a step Sewell. So we're now going to get into the deposition of Sarah Abbott. All right, you can see her name here, Sarah Abbott. The deposition of Sarah Abbott, aged about 32 years, testifieth that since my husband had a parcel of land granted by the town lying near to the land of Thomas Carrier, which, as I have heard, his wife Martha Carrier was greatly troubled, and I don't know what that word is, gave out threatening words, and that my husband, Benjamin Abbott, has not been only afflicted in his body, as he testifies, but also that strange and unusual things has happened to his cattle. Okay, now we're bringing in the cattle. There's something. Oh my gosh. For some have unalived suddenly and strangely, which we could not tell any natural reason for. And one, there's no natural reason. We're still here. I'm reading here. Oh my goodness. One cow cleaned a fortnight before she calved. But the cow unalived afterwards strangely, though she calved well, so far as we could perceive, and some of the cattle would come out of the woods with their tongues hanging out of their mouths in a strange and a frightening manner, and many such things which we can give no account of the reason of, unless it should be the effects of Martha Carrier's threatenings. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so painful, everybody. It's just so painful. So we have her piece. This is Benjamin's up here, and then this is Benjamin's wife, apparently, down here. And then we have who signed it there. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep what I was going to say to myself. All right, here we go. Just a couple more exhibits here, and then we can kind of start getting into some of the other bits and bobs. It's so important, in my humble opinion, to look and see. These people were sentenced to unalive, right? There was no respect given to the bodies or to the families. They all knew what they were doing was pretty hinky, right? So I'm like, well, how did they even get to a guilty verdict? And this is how, because somebody's cows were being weird. Happy Halloween. It's too early for penicillin. This is a family show. I know. What'd I say, Thomas? I'm so innocent. I don't even know what I said. Oh my gosh. Okay. Deposition of John Rogers. So here again, John Rogers. We've got some more evidence. Deposition, age. Okay, so deposition of John Roger of Billerica, aged 50 years or therein, here, or therein saith. Here we go. That about 7 years since Martha Carrier, being a nigh neighbor unto this deponse, and there happening some difference betwixt us, she gave forth several threatening words, as she often used to do. And in a short time after this deponent had two large lusty sows. What? Lusty sows? What? These people are crazy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get some honey to cook. Goodness gracious. The lusty sows. So that must mean you're a witch. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, professional. Okay, that's just, yeah, two fat pigs. All right, I'm sorry, everybody. Pardone. All right, I'm back. Where were the cows now? We're sows, my bad. All right, we got lusty sows up here. Oh my goodness. Oh. Okay, the deponents had two large lusty sows, which frequented home daily, that were lost, and this deponent found one of them unalive. Oh no, the poor sow, unalive, nigh the said carrier's house, with both ears cut off, and the other sow I never heard of to this day. People, I can't. All right. All right. Sorry. All right. I never heard about the other sow to this day. And the same summer, to the best of my remembrance, I had a cow which used to give a good mess of milk twice a day. And of sudden she would give little or none every morning, though a nights she gave as formerly. And this continued above the space for a month, in which time I had 3 meals milk on 3 several mornings, not successfully, and no more, though one night 3 of us watched the cow. We watched the cow all night. I could have no milk in the morning. Oh my gosh. And about the month's end, she gave milk as formerly she used, by all which I did in my conscience believe then in that day of it, and have so done ever since, and do yet believe that Martha Carrier was the occasion of those ill accidents, by means of witchcraft. She being very malicious woman, and further saith not. Oh my gosh, that was too much. This was too much. All right, so this doofus is like, my cows aren't producing enough milk, so I'm gonna watch them all night for 2 nights in a row. Oh. All right, page 10. Here we go. So now we've got another deposition here. Again, we only have a couple more pages here. They really have been through it. That's right, they really have been. All right, here we go. A deposition of Phoebe Chandler. All right, so there's Phoebe and then Chandler up here. Testimony of Bridget Chandler also. Deposition of Phoebe Chandler, aged about 12 years. 12-year-old girl is giving this deposition. All right, so keep that in mind. Testifieth here, so this is where I'm starting. Testifieth that about a fourth night before Martha Carrier was sent for to Salem to be examined upon the Sabbath day, when the psalm was singing, said Martha Carrier took me, said deponent, by the shoulders and shaked me in the meeting house and asked me where I live. But I made her no answer, no doubting, but she knew me, having lived some time the next door to my father's house on one side of the way. And that day that said Martha Carrier was ceased, my mother sent me to carry some bear to the folks that were at work in the lot. And when I came within the fence, there was a voice in the bushes, which I thought was Martha Carrier's voice, which I know well, but saw nobody. And the voice asked me what I did there and whether I was going, which greatly frightened me. So I run as fast as I could to those attending work and told them what I had heard. About an hour and a half or 2 hours after, my mother sent me again upon the same occasion to the workmen above's coming home, near the place above's where I had heard that voice before. I heard the same voice as I judged over my head, saying I should be poisoned. Oh, poisoned. That's not how that's spelled. Within 2 or 3 days, which accordingly happened, as I can see, for I went to my sister Allen's farm that same day, and on Friday following, about one half of my right hand was greatly swollen and exceeding painful, and also part of my face, which I can give no account how it came, and continued very bad some days, and several times since I've had trouble with a great weight upon my breast and upon my legs, when I have been going out, so that I could hardly go, which I have told my mother of, and the last Sabbath day was a seven night. I went to meeting very well in the morning, and went to my place where I used to sit, the ministers not being come. Richard Carrier, son, and above Martha, looked very earnestly upon me, and immediately my hand, which had formerly been poisoned, and began to pain me greatly. And I had a strange burning feeling, I'm sorry, that's not the right word, burning at my stomach, and then was struck deaf, that I could not hear any of the prayer, nor singing, till the 2 or 3 last words of the singing. And then she's signing it and testifying. Bridget Chandler, age 40 years, mother to Phoebe, testifies that in that day of it, her daughter complained as above, expressed a jurat in curia. So the mother just came in and said, yeah, that this all happened, that my daughter just said. Living in filth. Oh my gosh, they were, right? I mean, again, we're in the 1690s, right? And there's not a lot of safe stuff out there. I'm wondering too, here's my thought. Is it possible that could be, like, you get certain kinds of punishments if you're not paying attention in church, you know? I mean, I don't know, that's a wild guess, but it's just crazy. It's crazy times, and devout Puritans are like, we also believe in witches, like that, you know, in the biblical sense. Like, what? All right, next deposition, everybody, here. This is from Alan Toothaker against her. So we've had 3 depositions so far, really. So we've got the first dude who was like, she was mean because of a piece of land. His wife, like, I don't doubt that she made it so my cows wouldn't produce enough milk. And then Phoebe, and then now we've got Alan Toothaker. Right. I'm glad you asked, Thomas, in the biblical way. I think may have been interpreted incorrectly. I mean that in the Bible, when they're discussing the monstrosity that is of the witches and the magic people, that's what I mean. So that's what I'm talking about, all right? Because, I don't want to insult the witches out there, quite frankly, all right? So bear with me, people. Hey, yo, how you doing? Bear with me. Here we go. One more deposition. Again, Alan Toothaker. Thomas, stop giving me a hard time. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. The deposition. So I'm starting right here at the top. The deposition of Alan Toothaker, aged about 22 years, saith I heard Martha Carrier say to Benjamin Abbott, would wish he had not meddled with that land so near our house, for she would stick as close to him as the bark to a tree, afore 7 years. Come about, and the doctor present should never cure him. And about last March, Richard Carrier and myself had some difference, and said Richard pulled me down by the hair of my head to the ground for to beat me. I desired him to let me rise. When I was up, I went to strike at him, but I fell down flat upon my back to the ground and had no power to oh my gosh. All right. Had no power to stir hand nor foot. Then I told, say Richard, I would yield to him and own him the best man. And then I saw Martha Carrier go off from my chest, but when I was risen up, I saw none of her. I was wounded in the wear. Martha Carrier told me I would never be cured, for she apprehended I could. Oh my God. All right, I gotta drink a little bit. Yeah, Martha. I don't think they liked Martha very much. And if you don't like certain people in a small town like this, yikes. All right, so continuing on, she said to thrust in my wound a knitting needle 4 inches deep. But since she have been taken, I am thoroughly healed and have had more ease than I've had in half a year before. Sometimes when Martha Carrier and I had some difference, she would clap her hand at me and say I should get nothing by it, and still with a loomy day or two, I lost 3-year-old heifer, next a yearling, and then a cow, and then had some little difference again in lost a yearling. These above creatures which unalived. I could not learn of any reason for that, and I know not of natural causes of the unalive of the above creatures, but have always feared it hath been the effect of my aunt, Martha Carrier, her malice. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. That's so disturbing. So incredibly disturbing. I'm not sure if he's saying that she cursed him. The other guy with the injuries, perhaps. But it could be, because he did have some injuries as well. Let me go back and look and see what his injuries were. Let's see. It looks like he was just shoved down onto the ground. And then she said, "You're never going to be cured." And then went for the animals. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. Testimony of Samuel Preston here. Let's make sure I've got the right page, because that does not look like Samuel Preston's deposition. Okay, here. All right. Who's this? Eliza. Okay. Deposition of Eliza Hubbard. All right. Here we go. Must have been it's crazy. Not I know. It was crazy, but I think the craziness just it depends on what you've got going on in your century. Sorry, let me get a cough drop real quick. All right, here we go. The deposition of Eliza Hubbard, aged about 17 years, who testifieth and saith that I have been a long time afflicted by a woman that told me her name was Carrier, and that she came from Andover, but on the 31st May of 1692, Martha Carrier did most grievously torture me during the time of her examination. For if she did but look upon me, she would strike me down or almost choke me. And I saw Martha Carrier most grievously torment Mary Walcott, Mercy Lewis, Abigail Williams, and Ann Putnam Jr., which should, with such dreadful torture as no tongue can express, that had not the honored magistrates commanded her to be fast bound, I believe she would have quickly unalived us. And I verily believe in my heart that Martha Carrier is a most dreadful witch, for several times since Martha Carrier or her appearance has been in prison, she hath on her appearance come to me and most grievously tortured me by pinching, pricking, and almost choking me to unalive, which I believe she could not do if she were not a witch. Yeah. So, yeah. 17. Yikes. And now this one I think is one of the most important. So the final two here are going to be the actual victims that are alleged to have had it. Right. All right. So deposition now of Martha Walcott here. The deposition of, I'm sorry, it's Mary. It's not Martha. This is Mary. Let me put that there. All right. So the deposition of Mary Walcott, aged about 18 years, who testifieth and saith that I have been a long time afflicted by a woman which told me her name was Carrier, and that she came from Andover. But on the 31st May of 1692, Carrier of Andover did most grievously torment me during the time of her examination by biting, pricking, pinching, and almost choking me to unalive. Boy, that sounds really familiar, doesn't it? For if she did but look upon me, she would strike me down and almost choke me to unalive. Also, on the day of her examination, I saw Martha Carrier most grievously torment and afflict Mercy Lewis, Elizabeth Hubbard, Abigail Williams, and Ann Putnam Jr. by most dreadfully pricking and clapping her hand on their throats and almost choking them to unalive, and which such cruel tortures as no tongue can express. Oh my goodness gracious. That not had the honored magistrates commanded her to be bound, I believe she would have quickly unalived some of us. And I believe in my heart that Miss Carrier is a most dreadful witch, and that she has tormented me and the parsons aforenamed by her acts of witchcraft. Right, just Tracy. It looks, it looks different. It definitely looks different, but the meaning and purpose is the same. Oh my gosh. All right. And here is our last one, everybody. Let me make sure. I don't think I want to, I'm not sure. I got to watch I want to make sure I get the best one here. This one looks like, is this Andrew? Andrew Foster. All right. So this one is Thomas Putman here. So we'll do Thomas. All right. Here we go. Abigail, really? Oh, I love it. That's a fun name. Abigail, I think is great. All right, the deposition of Thomas Putnam, aged 40 years, and John Putnam, aged 36 years, who testifies and saith that we, having been conversant with divers of the affected parsons as named, Mary Walcott, Mercy Lewis, Abigail Williams, Eliza Hubbard, and Ann Putnam, and we have seen them often most grievously tormented by biting, pinching, and being almost choked to unalive, often complaining of one Goody Carrier for hurting them. But on the 31st of May of 1692, being the day of the examination of Martha Carrier, the aforementioned persons were most dreadfully tormented during their time of her examination. That had not the honored magistrates commanded her to be bound, we were ready to think she'd quickly have unalived some of them. Also, several times since we have seen the aforementioned most dreadfully afflicted and tormented, as if all their bones would have been disjointed of their bodies, twisted all to pieces, complaining most dreadfully of Martha Carrier for hurting them. And we believe in our hearts that Martha Carrier, the prisoner at the bar, has most dreadfully tormented and most grievously afflicted the aforementioned parsons by acts of witchcraft. All right, so this will be our last depot, so we can move. Let's keep the show rolling here, everybody. But so there you go. All the evidence is in. All the evidence was in. She was found guilty, and then she was executed. So that happened. With that, there are so many parallels between some of that and what's happening right now. Yikes. So let's go through some famous artworks here. Yeah, we believe in our hearts because, that's spectral evidence is okay. Me just talking about what someone else told me is fine. Although I think it's interesting that those three still had the same kind of language, right? Almost verbatim. And so that always is something to be hesitant on. Yes, tea break. All right. So again, these are just very famous images here of, again, when she's got her arm up and then she's testifying and saying, I was being pinched or whatever. I'm not saying don't trust children, but if you are saying that make-believe is allowed as evidence, you may have some issues. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go. I said it. I feel better about it. All right, here's one here. Soul unaliving witches that deform the body. So they're just making an interesting, I guess this is a cauldron over here and a couple of angry ladies here doing that. I have not pulled her Susanna Martin's materials about her, but if she was part of the trials, it is online. There is an enormous, let me show you actually real quick. This is, oh my gosh, everybody, this is just the best, absolutely the best website. What they have here, and it's the same place that I've been talking about, is everything over here is a link. Everything is a link, and you click on any of these and it opens all of the papers that are included in this person's trial. So everyone's listed here. And then they do go in and let you know which ones, if they've got any of the execution paperwork. So if you go down this list, and it's pages and pages long, and then you click on it and it'll bring up the indictments. It'll bring up the depositions. So you can take a look at that if there was spectral evidence presented. So each piece will come through and explain it, and then also give you a photograph of the original document. So it's pretty amazing, the amount of work and time and energy that went into this. Right. Yes. I think it's just amazing. We're just very, very thankful. Thank you. This one's not going to come out very well, but again, so this is called Arresting a Witch here. Hopefully everyone can see this. Love you. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Thank a historian. Yeah. And all the people that put it together. I mean, it's just flipping amazing. So yeah, this is what it looks like. What do we have here? A bunch of dudes, right? We got a whole bunch of dudes. What do we have here? An older lady who probably has had enough of everybody's crap and probably is like, get out of my way. I got stuff to do, right? So she would have to be a witch because because that's how those rules worked. Yes. And this one, I think is it Sarah Bishop? Sarah Bridges, I think. I thought it was a bishop was the first one who passed. Hold on a minute. This is supposed to be the first Bridget. It was Bridget Bishop. She was the first. All right. She was the first one who was sentenced. Something to remember that was so clear is that if you were taken to the jail on suspicion of witchcraft, if you said, I didn't do it, I don't know what days you're talking about, I'm a good Christian person, then you'd have a trial, much like whatever that was that we just went through with those dinglings, and then you would be found guilty and executed. But if you came in and you said, you're right, I am a witch, I was taken over by a demon and commanded to do this, if you pulled that, they released you. Your reputation, of course, was gone, but you would not be unalived. That's like so crazy to me. So all of those situations where, and they knew it. Each and every single person there knew it. They knew that if they said that they practiced witchcraft, they would not be executed. But rather than go forward with their own lives, right? Here we go. I found the one I was looking for. Rather than go forward living with that, over their head, they literally chose to unalive instead. Or you pick, right. I mean, seriously, and I'm telling you, I really do think with Tatua that she knew what the game was. Again, she knew what the game was. By the way, I know in one of the pieces I was reading talked about a black man, and I want to clarify, we're not talking about an indentured servant or someone or anyone in the community. They would refer to the devil also as the black man. So just for clarification purposes. But I think she's the one that knew what was going on, because she was the first one that said like, oh yeah, I did it. I feel terrible. I want to, repent. I want to change whatever's, with my life. And so she got out. She was let loose. The first one who got in was released. I mean, and did not unalive him in these circumstances. And of course, she got out of Dodge pretty quick. Got out of Dodge. Right, exactly. Women don't own land, nor did they inherit land. The oldest sons well, that's true too, right? Right? Women weren't high enough in society to be able to sign contracts or to approve pieces of land. You had to have your closest male relative do that, or husband or whatever. Candy corn break, everybody. She'd seen it before. Well, they're very possible. Again, this is a terrible drawing here, but it's the only one I could really find that was clear, where you can see the kids involved, and here with their I don't know if she was a nanny with, her. I don't want to call her a nanny. The other thing too, and I may not have touched on this, was that she was teaching them like this really fun little party game. And some people think that that's really why they went after her. She had this, I don't remember what they called it in ye old times, but they had this container and they put water in it. And then you would crack an egg into it. And then whatever the liquidy egg stuff made a shape, it was supposed to be like, ooh, you're going to get more money or you're going to have great whatevers. I don't know what they wanted at that time that they wanted to have show up. But what showed up was the shape of a coffin. And that's what started all of this. Before that, there were no, flopping around in some stuff. None of that occurred. It was after they saw the egg whites form a coffin that all of these people then wound up unalived, either in jail or from the execution process. Zero trick? Really? I don't know. Yeah. The best part of trick-or-treating is all the candy that's left over in the end, right? Yeah, right. So again, and if your kids at this age, part of the Puritans, so like the Mayflower people, there's some crazy business going on. So I'm not going to say that these kids had this horrendous malicious intent. We just don't know. We don't know what all's going on, other than the fact that the court allowed for, fairies, whatever. You could say like a fairy flew in and tried to help me against the witch, but it didn't work. And then the fairy flew away. And it's like, in the record, that's truth. Like, that's truth. The story of the fairy is true. Like, that's so crazy. And they knew it. The governor knew it after he got back from England, because again, he had to go all the way to England to get permission to hold the trials. And he did, and he came back. Ugh. And here's another very famous one. I think somebody's on the floor here. A couple somebody's on the floor. And then this woman has a mark on her back, which was another way of trying to determine if you were a witch or not. And I think it's so interesting too, again, tying it back into everything that we're dealing with right now, everyone, is to pull it back into this idea that there's always going to be a group that's going to be targeted for oppression, right? Or for evil deeds. The group itself will change, right? And switch around. Like here, we are dealing with, with the witches. How did they know they were a witch? Right? That question, I think, is the same for how do you know that someone that's in the country from another country, how do you know that they don't have proper paperwork? Right? Like, how do you know that? And so then they start making up, bologna sandwiches in the witches here in order to designate them as witches. So, it just keeps going around and around. Namaste. Yes. Yeah. I don't know specifically. I've read these women and men stories. And it's the men too. I cannot, dismiss this as it was all the women. It certainly was not, but it was 75%. It was clearly the women and then a few men in the end. Again, like the minister that said, I know I was for this in the beginning, but you're starting to actually unalive people, and I don't think it's right, so I want to walk it back. And so then, of course, he goes in as well. Really? George Burroughs. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. It is happening today, Blue. It is. Who's evil and who's innocent? Exactly. Well, and this is another example, too, when you can get a crowd riled up, right? They're here for entertainment. This is basically their social media right here, right? So this is the live back in the 1600s where they're standing there, and if the judge just was like, well, no, I can't agree with you that there are ghosts in here. I'm not going to agree with you. And then, trial's over. Well, that's not exciting. That's that exciting, if it bleeds, it leads situation. So it gets turned into this incredibly dramatic situation, right? Stories get popular, right? Right, TikTok, circa 1692. That's right. All right, now the next picture that's coming up here, everyone, is the execution of Mrs. Anne. Now, it's a black and white picture, but if you do not want to see, hanging, then I would say look away. So here's your viewer discretion moment. There we go. And so this is another one just showing again, I mean, right? Look at all of the people watching this. And of course that is the name of the game as well, to have all the people all riled up. Now, in fact, this is also interesting because it was, I think maybe after, how many people was it? Maybe seven or eight people had been executed. And then the people, they came to the next one after that, they tried to get it stopped. So this crowd, until they got past those first few, was like, whatever. And then after the first few executions, they came out and they were like basically rioting, saying, this isn't right. This isn't right at all. This is unjustifiable. This is terrible. We all know this is wrong, and tried to get it stopped. And then the bad guy minister, of which there were many, but actually came over and started explaining how if they stop, then the work of the devil will take over the town, and, we're all going to be burning and stuff. So he gave this very impassioned speech. And so the whole crowd was like, all right, then, as you were. And then, another 10 executions took place. Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. Right. They knew they were, well, right. It's, yeah. So lots of things that we can learn from this situation. And there is a very, very, again, how do I say this? There's a very famous in the legal world and, in the religion, freedom of religion piece, lawsuit that was filed for a military person who passed away and was to be buried in the Arlington Cemetery. I always forget the name. Was supposed to be buried. And this person was Wiccan, and, which is another level of religion. It's a different kind of religion. And they would not put the pentacle, or I think it's pentacle if it's a circle, right? They wouldn't put that on his tombstone. And so the family sued. And it kind of turned into a class, because it was a class, I guess, of any soldier that was Wiccan, perhaps. And they said, put it on the stone, man. If you don't put it on that, then you are discriminating against religion. Arlington, thank you so much. Thank you, Frank. But I mean, come on, right? It's a legitimate, registered religion, but there's also, which I find fascinating too, there's also lots of other religions. I mean, there's a lot of people going back to some of the Druids types doctrines, and what else? The Druids, but there's also like, oh my gosh, what else? There's a ton out there. Like there's one here that was just had a video made where it was like the satanic, the religion of the satanic something blah blahs, and they're like trying to offer food for the people that are needing food, right? So the Satanic Temple, yes, thanks Thomas. Yes, they did win. Yeah, they did win. So, but right, I mean, again, Satanists are so chill. I don't know. I don't spend too much time in the religious world because there's just too many religions, and I need like a start and an end, Like if there were only 500 religions, I'd be like, all right, let's learn about all of them. But there's more than that. So it's just outside of what I'm capable of. It's too much. There's too many religions. Oh my goodness gracious. So, I don't want to, there we go. I don't want to offend anyone, but yes. So if you are of another religion, and you have a symbol for your religion that you'd like to use on your tombstone, then, you should be able to use it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is, again, this website, everybody, I just have to say again, is just amazing. So with that, I think I'm checking my time here. I've already kind of passed my max time, my friends. So I'm going to have to take a break. But if you want to keep learning about this, or this is something interesting for you to do to take your mind off of doom scrolling, because nothing helps more than looking up execution papers and trials. That'll help your doom scrolling. I know I say it tongue in cheek, but it's actually true. But there are so many here available. Literally, the documents themselves have been photographed and filed in ways that are just amazing. So go take a look, everybody. What's the website? It is, let me hold it up again and make sure. Let me see, hold on, let's see. Gonna move it, I can move it down. Did I get it? Oh, I got it, there it is. There it is. It's out of Virginia. Happy Halloween. Happy Salem. Exactly. Blessed be to you. Last days of early voting. Off you go, Frank. Frank, by the way, is not wearing a cape, but he certainly is a hero. Anyone working on the voting stuff. Round of applause. Round of applause. So, with that, go vote, people. That's right. Thank you, VC. Yes. So with that, I'm like, whoo, way over here. Thank you all for coming by and hanging out. Thank you for the gifts. Oh my gosh, I tell you, I'm just very thankful for the gifts right now. And we don't need to go cray because in this economy, but I do appreciate it. I really do. And your time and your questions and your support. So very thankful, everybody. I will go ahead and cut it up this point. It should be up on my Tube of You within the next couple of days. And I'll probably put it in a playlist with my other two so you can kind of compare and contrast. I do them differently each time, so it's not too boring. So take care, everybody, and I wish you all well. Happy Halloween, blessed be, merry meet. Or we've got All Saints Day coming up, right? That's a Catholic thing, isn't it? Happy Saints Day. I know. Yay, and all of that. So take care, everybody.